You're listening to the podcast called What No One Knows. I'm your host, Lisa Marie Garcia. Please join us as I talk with some of the most important influencers, from entrepreneurs to C-suites to founders to venture capitalists. You will want to know their answer to the question, what no one knows. Thank you for joining. All right, thank you for joining. This is Lisa Marie Garcia, and we have another episode of What No One Knows. I'm in the Tampa Bay studios here with our guest. I'm very excited to have this conversation. What is it called? Is it stalking? I'm not sure what it's called. I've been trying to get Mr. Alfred Goldberg in studio, and he's here today. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Your stalking paid off.
Has it paid off? Well, usually hard work does, right? It might take a while, and you have to have a lot of patience and diligence, which I did. But again, thank you so much for being here. Sure. So much for us to talk about, and we only have 30-some or less minutes. So first of all, I would love to have you start with your involvement with the Wave as actually one of the first board members was what I knew about you, chairman for many years, and then most recently you just 2025 ended your board relationship as I think vice president of the board. Can you share with us, some of the really cool beginning stories and your involvement in the Wave, and just share with us what we might not know?
So I used to chair Tampa Bay Technology Forum, now known as TBT's CEO group, and it was a roundtable group. And I started losing some of my members, the ones who were technology entrepreneurs. And I was told in no uncertain terms that if I continued to lose members, they were going to disband the group. So I did some research, and I found out that they were going to this new meetup called Tampa Bay Wave. And that's all it was. It was a meetup of technology entrepreneurs who would get together and share their challenges and advise each other and make connections. And I thought to myself, I'll put a stop to this. And I came to a meeting, and I was so impressed by what I saw that I started going to other meetings and getting involved. And Linda really convinced me of the vision. And when it came time for her to have an opportunity for a federal grant, I helped garner support for her efforts, and they paid off. And Wave went from a meetup group to the organization that you see today.
Well, and raised over 1.5 billion or 1-point-something billion and growing. It's crazy. For the 3 years I've been a part of the mentor advisor part of the Wave, and then just known of it, crazy growth. I love that, and some people do know that it started as a meetup. And my question on that is, do you remember about how many years it was for the meetup before it became, okay, we're going to take this as the not-for-profit it is, approximately?
Was it a very long time? I mean, I'd say 2 years at the max, if even that.
That's a pretty fast ramp-up.
It was a fast ramp-up, and, some people didn't stay along for the ride because it was a big change. When Linda applied for the grant, there was those in the ecosystem who didn't feel a meetup group had any business doing that. And to say that we had opponents would be understating it. So one of the things I've always admired about the organization and Linda's leadership is her ability to be steadfast with that opposition and say, this is what's good for the organization, this is what's good for the area, we're going to proceed. And it's ironic today because some of the biggest naysayers at that time are some of the biggest supporters today.
It's funny how that full circle happens. But what I love about what you said, which is also, I'm sure, part of the reason you're successful, in fact, I was just part of your 25th year anniversary for Absolute Marketing Services. I'm sure you are the type that, always keeps your eye on the goal, right? Always keeps your eye on the prize of where you're going, regardless of the naysayers, regardless of what happens. And it is part of the element of success for sure.
I would agree that I see some of the same traits that we exhibit in Wave. And I think it's, if you read Good to Great, I think there's some of the attributes that help people. Flexibility while maintaining focus. not getting distracted by, the blips that appear, and understanding as long as you're moving toward the goal,
you're on the right
you're on
road
the
and
right
you'll
road.
get there. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love Good to Great. That was one of my favorite books way back, and I'm surprised a lot of people haven't read it now, but it's probably, 15 years old?
Oh, it's
or
a
so.
must read for
But
sure.
yes, it's a great book, and I love books. I'm a book person, of course. All right, so what would you say? I talked to, cohort members, I talked to advisor, mentors, board members, even team members of the Wave, and one of my favorite questions to ask is, there are many startups, there are many accelerators, there are many incubators out there, even though I really feel like the Wave is 100% unique, and they're definitely, I think, number one in the nation. But what would you say is an element that helps that uniqueness, or has really been, besides the perseverance of the CEO, Linda? What could you share?
If there's one thing I'd say that Wave could do better is answering that exact question. Maybe it's just in its nature that that's a difficult question to answer, but Wave seems to be able to put together exactly what an individual startup needs to succeed and deliver it, not a cookie cutter approach where all startups are the same. There's a lot of accelerators that act very much like schools. Everybody has the same curriculum on day one, and they all graduate with different degrees of success. Whereas Wave really, you ask, and you have asked, multiple, startups have gone through the cohorts, and there may be similarities in their stories, but they're also all very unique. So that ability to solve unique problems with the right connections, the right knowledge, the right access is something that is very difficult to replicate. And it is one of the reasons I think Tampa Bay Wave is one of the best accelerators in the country.
Agree. And there's the marketing in you that comes out because one of the things I noticed early on when I started working with the Wave more, I would tell people in my, my professionals in my peer group and stuff, and some of them didn't know about the Tampa Bay Wave, and it just drove me crazy. I'm like, we need to get more people to understand this rock star organization. So agree with you. And let's actually let's talk about the marketing in you. Again, as the CEO of Absolute Marketing, tell us about that journey and just share a little bit about what your company state is now, because a 25-year company looks, gazillion times different than a 1 to 5 year company.
So that's a very long story. 25 years. It's been a roller coaster, and not even a roller coaster because the tracks diverged many times in the course of the journey. Today we work in a variety of different industries. Hospitality historically was one of our primary core industries, and we've built such a reputation there that it continues to grow, but we no longer particularly pursue that industry. Post-COVID, we realized that was a lot of eggs in one basket, especially when that basket got turned upside down. So we're doing a lot more strategic work than we might have done in the past. So it's not just tactical execution, it's understanding what are the choices that need to be made, what are the questions that need to be asked, and how can we aid our clients in getting the correct answers that's going to take them to the next level, or garner the storm in the case of COVID, for example.
Well, and affect change, right? So always the question is, how can we help the company get where they need to get? But the environment is always changing, which keeps your job in marketing very interesting, right? And changing.
It's the only constant.
Yeah, right. And I, as you talked about the post-COVID, which was really just this idea in the market of, okay, huge change, just like, the dot-com buzz, just like Y2K, just like, I talk about I've been an employer 25 years with 2 companies. You see all of that, and hopefully you're an agile company, which clearly Absolute is, to change for the better and grow. And thanks for sharing, because I saw your industry being in hospitality. But I also see, as I learned about you, how much work you do in mentoring in a lot of different organizations. So it sounds like that's a passion for you. It's your philanthropic part of what you do. Share about, how that feeds you and what you love about that.
Depending on who you ask, you might get 2 different rationales for this. I went to Jesuit High School, and community service and giving back to the community was a big part of it. And I also was a instructor at the International Academy of Design and Technology, and I enjoyed teaching, did not necessarily enjoy all of the administrative aspects of it. If you ask my wife, she'll just say that I like to hear my own voice. There's probably a little bit of truth in both, but I really do like helping others avoid some of the missteps I've made or get taken advantage of. Unfortunately, my industry is one that there's a lot of people in it that they know just enough to make you think they know more than them, and they will take advantage of you, not necessarily out of any sort of malfeasance, just because they don't know what's actually best for you. That's one of the things that we do differently is if we can't help someone, we'll be the first to tell them there's plenty of work out there. We don't need to take work where we're not the right fit. And quite often we'll have entrepreneurs come to us who've already, capital is so important, and these entrepreneurs have blown a lot of capital in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
And that's always burned me up. So when we work with entrepreneurs, whether we're a vendor or just counseling them, we try and make sure they know what's true and what's not true.
Well, wealth is knowledge, and you're giving your wealth of knowledge to share with through your mentoring and advisory, and I love that. And in fact, speaking of that, I love it when I talk to people like you that have had a business for many, many years. What would you say is one of those lessons that you can share that you learned only through, your experience? A lot of the early startup and early founders, new business owners, they have to learn things the hard way. What would you share?
There are so many of those. I would say there's something I tell people often, which is contracts keep honest people honest.
Very good.
A lot of times people feel that if they have a written agreement with someone, they're protected. But the truth is litigation is expensive. Lawyers are expensive. So if you feel uneasy about working with someone, stick to it. Stick to your gut. Listen, you don't have to do business with somebody that you don't like or you don't trust. Don't count on a piece of paper keeping them honest. That's one of many. I mean, there's so many lessons in 25 years.
It's so true, and the biggest part of that's the most important. I was just talking at a late meeting last night. We were just talking about this, about going with how you feel and not fighting it. If you don't feel good, there's a reason for that, and it's not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater, but take a step back, take some time, look at it again objectively, and there is something maybe that is bothering that needs to be tied up. So thank you for sharing that. Can you share, can I ask you to share a story, a client story over the year, maybe something fantastic, a company that you took, from one place to the other, or some kind of interesting client that you had? I think that's always fun to hear from a CEO about.
So in our business, we have a lot of fun. In fact, it's built into our company values.
I love it.
And so I can tell you about fun projects, but they weren't necessarily projects that I feel really move the needle. The one project that comes top of mind to me is a manufacturer who sold their products to wholesalers who then sold to retailers. And so they had very little information about their end customers. And we, from the ground up, built a marketing platform for them where their end users, their end customers would actually start self-identifying and giving information to them. And it completely transformed how they market because for the first time in the history of the company, they have a direct-to-consumer platform for communicating with their customers. So that's kind of a marketing wonk answer. For a more fun answer, the burrito eating competition for Taco Bus was an incredible fun time. We hired a local bodybuilder to dress up as a luchador. We had, games and activities for the kids. It was a $5,000 cash prize, so we got competitive eaters, including the reigning female champion, come from all over the country to compete in this competition. And it was just a heck of a lot of fun to put together and to be part of. But at the end of the day, it was, just one more event in a much larger relationship.
Oh, it's making me hungry. I haven't eaten yet today. I was just thinking about my lunch. Now I want to go to Taco Bus. I love that. And that competitive eaters, right, is the title.
Yes.
How do I get that job? And then I can't fit in any of my clothes. Then there's that.
I don't know you'd really want that job. I can tell you the reigning female champ was a very, very small woman.
Really?
You would never have imagined that she was the reigning competitive eater, but she ate a 2.5-pound burrito in under a minute.
2.5 pounds of a burrito. And then to eat it that fast, that's like mega, right? I'm trying to think of it too. Wow. Impressive.
It was impressive and also a little disorienting to see.
Yeah, a mixed bag in there. Oh, my goodness. Well, we're getting to the end of the podcast, so I always like to ask you our question, which is, what no one knows. And this question came up early in my career as a book publisher, now many years ago, where I would have people sit across from me and say they want to share the story, and this is something that no one knows. And so I think it's very fun to ask our tech entrepreneur founders, people like yourself, what is something you can share with us that no one knows?
Relationships are everything. You enter relationships. I'm somebody, and I believe this is the best way to look at it, who likes to give and believe in karma, that what you give will come back to you eventually. There's a lot of people who try and build relationships for their own gain, and I don't think that's as effective. And particularly in this particular market, the Tampa Bay market, we are famous for being open and accessible. You were at my 25th anniversary party. I wouldn't be bragging to say there was a lot of notable people there. And the reason is because we are a very approachable community. So if you need help with someone, ask. Somebody will be more than happy to help. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't want to look like they have any vulnerabilities or that they don't know everything. And so they're scared to ask, and that comes back to bite them. Whereas if they ask, not only are they getting an answer to a much needed question, it helps build that relationship because people value those they give to. So if you help me with something, now you feel vested in what it is I'm doing, and now we have a relationship. So any concerns of me burdening you by asking is mistaken. In truth, if you give to me, it's actually strengthening our relationship.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And yes, I was a part of your anniversary celebration. We were talking before the show about it. But I want to say that what many things impressed me, and again, congratulations on 25 years of absolute marketing. But I do remember the mayor, and there were many high-profile people there that called you friend. And I remember her remarks. She did say something like, "I couldn't even have this many people in there." I think she said I could probably have like 5 of them, and they would be all related to me. Some funny joke that she made. But again, congratulations on that, and also of the value of knowing that, it does need to be a win-win situation, and you reap what you sow. Absolutely. So thank you so much for the conversation, and thank you for being here on the podcast, What No One Knows. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to our show, What No One Knows. If you'd like more information regarding our guests, it's in the description below, as well as if you'd like to work with our publishing and promotion team, that you can also find in the links. Thank you.